Hello and welcome to the first episode of HTML tutorial. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is basically used to design any web page. HTML is a language that is used to describe the structure of a web page. If you follow some web page, you will find some attributes are common like heading, paragraph, image, table, font, color, and lots of more. You can define these attributes yourself. Now question is how to define these attributes. You can define these attributes using tags and elements. In the next slide, I will go details about tags and elements. To create a HTML tag, first give a left angular bracket followed by some HTML predefined keyword. Then put a right angular bracket to complete that tag. If you look at the example, it starts with a left angular bracket followed by HTML, which is a predefined HTML keyword, and followed by a right angular bracket to complete that tag. Two types of tags are there, opening tag and closing tag. The previous example is of opening tag, and closing tag are same as opening tag except a forward slash in front of tag name. Have a look at the example where everything is same but a forward slash in front of tag name. That is the example of closing tag. A question may be arise that why closing tag? For this, elements comes into the picture. An element is a set of opening tag and closing tag. Element has an starting point and end point. It declares that from where the tag start and where it will end. Element can contain text as well as other tag also. Look at the following picture for more details. In this picture, there is a opening body tag and closing tag. In between that, some text is written over there. That is content of elements. Elements of contents can contain other tag also. In the next slide, we will learn more about elements. Two types of elements are there, container element and empty element. Container element must have a starting tag and an end tag. Like we have discussed about elements. Here is an example of body element which has a opening tag and a closing tag. Empty element does not have any closing tag and it does not contain any text. Example of empty element is br tag, which is used to give a line break. It works like enter, which we use to break that line and move the cursor to the next line. To create a simple web page, the basic structure we use with the help of three elements, that is HTML, head and body. We will see details about these three elements. HTML is the first tag we use in every HTML file. It is mandatory element. It indicates that the content of the file is in HTML. It is a container element. So, closing of HTML tag is necessary. All other tags and elements will be placed within HTML element. Next come head element. It is used to give title to a web page. It's a container element. So, closing tag is necessary. It is not mandatory. Suppose you are building a website and your website has lots of web pages in it. Then viewer can easily understand for what purpose that web page is with the help of title. So I prefer use head element and give title accordingly. It can contain number of other tags like title tag, which is used to give the title of the web page. Follow the example where we start with the HTML tag, then head tag, under that title tag. Whatever text we will give here, it will show in the title bar of the web page. Then close title tag first, then head and last HTML tag. One thing to note that which tag you open last, close that tag first, then close other tag according to that. The last element to form basic structure of a HTML page is body element. It is also a container element. It is used to form the body of the HTML page. All the things like text, background image, color, table, paragraph, heading, and lots of more put everything under body element. Body element can contain other tag also. Look at the example which is same from last example except body element which is just before HTML closing tag. Here we start a body tag and put some text in it and then close that body tag and lastly close the HTML tag. Now open any text editor, write this code and save it with .html extension. If .html extension is not there, then HTML will not be able to understand that the file is in HTML. So keep in mind to give the .html extension while saving. I will use Notepad throughout the course. In the next lesson, we will discuss about attributes. Hello and welcome to the second lesson of HTML. Before going to start this lesson, it is recommended to have basic understanding about tag and element, which is discussed in the first lesson. Today we are going to discuss about attributes and some common elements we use in HTML. What is attributes and what is the purpose of using attributes? An attribute is used to provide additional information about an element. It defines property of an element. Attribute is placed inside the element's opening tag. Look at the following picture for better clarification. In the opening body tag, an attribute with the name BGColor is set with the value red. Here BGColor means background color. That means we are setting the HTML page with the red color background. Equals to sign is used to set value for an attribute. Next with bold element. It is used to display the portion with bold letter. For doing so, we will use B element. In the example, from the complete sentence which portion we want to bold, keep the text between B opening tag and B closing tag. The same is for underlined text and italicized text. For underlined text, we use container element U, and for italicized, container element I is used. Underlined element is used to give any text underline and I element is used to make any text italic. Next come font element, which is used to change the font style, size, color of the text in the HTML page. It contains some attributes. Size attribute is used to increase or decrease the size of the font. As it is an attribute, it is declared within the opening font tag. Name of the attribute is size and the value will be from 1 to 7. If size attribute is not mentioned, default size is 3. Color attribute is used to change the color of the text. It can be set via two ways. First is by writing the name of the color, and second way is via hexadecimal value. To declare a hexadecimal value, first give a hashtag, then give 6 alphanumerical hexadecimal value. For any hexadecimal value of any color, you can Google it. To change the font style, face attribute is used with font element. Value can be any font style. Mention that values with the name of the font. It is good to note that font name which you passed as values should be within double quote. Machine will search for that font. If it is found, then that font will display. If not found, then default font will be displayed according to browser preference. You can set more than one values separated by commas. In that case, it will look for the first value. If not found, then try with second value and follow the same until the list over. If nothing match with the values, then font will be displayed according to browser preference. Font size can also be changed by using heading element. There are 6 levels of headings, which is starting from H1 to H6. It's a container element. H1 is highest and it gives you the biggest size of all the headings. and getting smaller and smaller with H2, H3, H4, H5 and H6. Bear tag, which is an empty element used to give line break, which we discussed in the last video in the empty element section. If you want to use a horizontal line to your web page, then use HR tag. It is also an empty element. It has some attributes like the following. To set the thickness of the horizontal rule, use size attribute. Its value is in pixel. To set the width of the horizontal rule, width attribute is used. Default is as width as the page. It can be controlled by pixel or percentage. In the example, width is set to 50%. It indicates that the horizontal rule width will be 50% of the page. You can set the align of the horizontal rule by using align attribute. Its value can be left, right or center. Default is center. With no set attribute, horizontal rule element will show a solid line and it has no value. With color attribute, you can change the color of the horizontal rule. Value of color can be defined via hexadecimal or name of the color, as it was discussed in the font color section. That's all from this lesson. Hope you enjoy this lesson. Keep watching for the next lesson where we discuss about Marquee. Think that you want to display scrolling text to your web page. But how? This is possible with the help of Marquee element. Hello and welcome to the third lesson of HTML. Today we are going to learn about Marquee element and its attributes. HTML provides you with the Marquee element to scroll the text on a web page. It is implemented by using Marquee opening and closing tag. It supports the following attributes: behavior, BG-color, direction, height, H-space, loop, scroll amount, scroll delay, V-space and width. In the next slide, we will look about each of these attributes in details. To set the movement of the Marquee, behavior attribute is used. It has three values, that is scroll, slide and alternate. Scroll is used to move the text from one margin to another and start again from the same margin from where it started previously. Slide is used to move the text from one margin to another and stop it there. Alternate is used to move the text from one margin to other margin and bounce back as soon as the text touches the other margin of the Marquee area. To set the Marquee background color, use BGColor attribute. Direction attribute enables you to specify the direction of the text. Direction can be either left or right. By default, it moves from right of the screen to the left. To specify the height of Marquee area, use height attribute. Value can be in pixel or percentage. Left or right margin of the Marquee area can be specified using H-space attribute. This margin is relative to the page margin. To enable for specific number of times Marquee will display, use loop attribute with value in numbers. In the example, Marquee text will display 3 times as loop equals to 3 is mentioned. If you want to display the Marquee as long as the page is open, use value either -1 or infinity or not mention any loop attribute. Scroll amount and scroll delay is used to control the speed of the text. Difference between these two is scroll amount specifies the number of pixels between each successive draw of Marquee text, whereas scroll delay is used to draw text between number of milliseconds. VSpace attribute is used to set top and bottom margin of the Marquee relative to the page margin. And finally, width attribute is used to specify the width of the Marquee area. This value can be either in pixel or percentage. Another thing to note that if you want to change font style, size, color, then use font element inside the Marquee element. That's all about Marquee and its attributes. In the next lesson, we will learn about list in HTML. Think that you have to show a list of items in your web page and you want to give bullets and numbers in front of them. How to give it? Hello and welcome to HTML list. In this lesson, we are going to learn about how many types of HTML lists are there and how to use them. But before discussing HTML list, subscribe this channel and hit the bell icon. To start, list in HTML is used to make a list of items. We will learn about two kinds of lists. They are unordered lists and ordered lists. First is unordered list. It is used to give bullets in front of your list item. It can be defined by using UL tag. And as it is a container element, closing of UL tag is mandatory. It can contain one or more list items. To define the list items, use li tag, which means list items. Type the text you want to make it as a list and close the li tag. And put the li element inside ul element. Unordered lists supports an attribute named type, by which we can set the type of the shapes of the bullets. Type of shapes can be disk, square or circle. Default is disk. Look at the following example for better clarification. Here inside body tag, example of list item text will display. After that, we start the unordered list by typing opening tag ul. Our aim is to display the text unordered list and the text ordered list as list items. So we keep these two in two separate li element. And lastly, we close the ul tag. And what will be the result? Let's see it. If you have any doubt till now, pause this video and make it clear. And you can also comment your doubts. I will try my best to clarify your doubts. Next is ordered list. It is used to give numbers rather than bullets in front of list item. For ordered list, OL opening and closing tag have to use. Like unordered list, it can contain one or more list items. And for defining list items, the same li element we have to use. It has also the same attribute named type, but the value of type can be 1, capital I, small I, capital A or small a. Follow the example given below. In this example, all the tags, elements and text are same as another list example, except OL opening and closing tag is used in place of UL opening and closing tag. And the result is also same as previous, except numbers in place of bullets are there. Now imagine a scenario where we have a list of items and within that list of items an item has also list of items. Is it possible or how to do that? Answer is yes, and via nested list. Look at the example where we declared body element and inside body element text example of list items will show in the web page. After that, we declare opening order list by OL tag. Under that, our list items, that is li, is declared. And within that, our content of elements is unordered list. Next, we define a unordered list, that is ul under list item. And disk, square, circle as list item is written here under ul tag and close the ul tag. Again we put a list item which will be under ol tag, and again we write the ul tag and under that list item 1, capital I, small I, capital A and small a is given. Finally, close the UL tag and OL tag respectively. The result will be like this. Hope you guys now learned about list. Our next lesson is inserting image file into HTML page. So let's start that lesson. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to give image in your web page. Till now, we are giving web page background as color. Today, we are going to add an image as background of web page. To set it, we have to use background attribute inside opening body tag, and its value will be the full path of the image with the image name and location. Follow the example where we mention the background attribute inside body tag, and value of the background is the location of the image, that is D drive HTML, and under that name of the file is image and extension is .jpg. We have to pass the full path of the file. But if the file is in the same location where your HTML file presents, then no need to pass the full path of the file. You can put only the file name with the extension. In this way, you can set the background of a web page with image. Another one is image element. It is used to insert image into your HTML page as a content. For that, we have to use img element. It is an empty element. That means closing of img tag is not required. It supports the following attributes. First one is src attribute, or you can say source. src is mandatory because in it we are going to define which image we are going to show in browser, and its value is the file name with full path of the image. But to avoid giving full path of the image, you can put the image file in the same location where HTML file present. Next one is align attribute. It is used to set the alignment of the image. It can be either left or right. Default value is left. Third one is alt attribute. It is used to put a text in place of the image. If the image is taking a long time to load, or the image is not loaded or missing, then the text we passed as values in alt attribute will display in the browser. Next, to set the height of the image, height attribute is used. Its value can be either in pixel or percentage. Fifth one is width attribute. It is used to set the width of the image. Like height attribute, its value also be either in pixel or percentage. Final one is border attribute, which is used to give border to your image. Default value of border is 0 pixel. That means no border. You can set it as you wish. That's all about image element. And subscribe this channel and hit the bell icon to get new notification. And also give like and comment if you find this video helpful. Now let's move on to our next lesson, that is creating table in HTML. Imagine that you have a requirement to show some data in a table format for your website. How to do that? Hello and welcome to HTML table. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to create table for your web page. Tables are used to display data in a tabular format. The first thing we have to know, what are the tags required for creating a table. HTML provides you with the table element for creating a table. Table element starts with the writing of opening table tag and ends with closing of table closing tag. Next is tr tag. Tr stands for table row. The content of the row are placed between tr opening tag and closing tags. The number of rows in a table depends on how many tr tags are contained within the table. Next is th tag. Th stands for table header. By default, header cells are bold and center aligned. Table headers should be written within the th opening and closing tags. And the final one that forms the basic structure of a table is TD tag. The TD tag is used to define table data. Table data must be written within TD opening and closing tag. Table data cells must appear within table rows. Have a look at the example below. Under body opening tag, we declare a table by writing opening table tag. Under that, we declare a table row by defining tr opening tag. And under that 3th tag, that means table heading, we declared. After that, we close the tr tag. That indicates that our row is completed and we have 3 columns in that row. Again we declared a table row by writing tr tag, and under that we declare 3 td elements, which means table data, and close the tr tag, and finally close the table tag. If we run this code, it will display a table with 2 rows and 3 columns. If you closely look into the result, you will find that the table has no border, no alignment. So we have to design the table with the help of attributes. We will look into this in the next slide. We will now discuss about some common attributes along with their description. The first one is border attribute. It helps us to draw borders around all the table cells. By default, tables are shown without borders, as we see in the last example. The size of the border can be specified by using border values, where value should be a pixel value. The next one is BG color attribute. It allows you to set the background color to be set for the table. Either the specified color name or an RGB hexadecimal value can be used to specify the background color. Third one is border color. It is used to set the color of the border of the table. Similar to the BG color attribute, any of the predefined color or an RGB hexadecimal value can be specified. Fourth one is align attribute. This attribute is used to align a table to the left or right of the page. Default align of a table is left. Fifth one is width attribute. This attribute is used to set the width of the table. Value can be either an absolute width or a percentage of the document width. And the final one is height attribute. It is used to set the height of the table. The value can be either a pixel value or in percentage. Before conclude this session, we will know about some additional elements and attributes which we can use with the table. First one is caption attribute. To specify the caption of a table, caption elements are used. The caption element by default is center aligned at the top of the table. The next one is row span attribute. The row span specifies the number of rows the cells can span. The default span for any cell is 1. Similarly, we can use call span attribute. The call span specifies the number of columns the cells can span. The default call span for any cell is 1. If you like this video, then give a like and comment and share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe this channel and hit the bell icon to get new notification. That's all from this lesson. In the next lesson, we will learn link in HTML. So let's start that lesson. If you follow any website, you will find websites have lots of web pages in it, and they have connected to each other. How can we do that in our web pages? Welcome again in HTML links. In this lesson, we will get to know what are the elements and attributes required to link web pages. So let's start. First, we have to know what is hyperlink. A hyperlink is an element in an HTML document that links to either another portion of the document or to another document altogether. That means by clicking on a particular object, we can go to a defined portion of the same web page. Or we can also open a separate web page or any document. We use anchor element to make any text or picture a link. Anchor element is represented by a opening and closing a tag. Text or picture you want to make a link, keep that inside anchor element, or you can say within a element. In the next slide, we will see what are the common attributes we can use with anchor elements. First one is href attribute, or you can say hyperreference attribute. It is used to specify a text or an image as a hyperlink. As it is said in the previous slide, text or image you put within opening and closing tag will become hypertext. If you want to open another web page, then pass the full path of that file as value of the href attribute. Or if you want to navigate on the same web page, then you have to use another attribute, that is name attribute. It allows the anchor to be target of a link. It can be used when a link has to be created to a certain text on the same page, or the text need to be referred by another document by simply putting a hashtag. It means if you want to browse on the same page and you click on a link, then it will search on that page for the value. If found, then it will navigate to that section. The value of the name attribute is an identifier for the anchor. Now, hopefully you will be able to implement link in your HTML pages. That's all from this lesson. Our next lesson is HTML form. Till now, we have learned how to display information in a web page. We have also learned how to link different web pages. Now, we will learn how to create a form in web page. Forms are used to accept data from user. Data can be personal information or feedback of users. Accepting data and storing it in a database is not covered, as it is totally different. In this lesson, we will only focus on designing the form of a web page. The form element enables you to define a form. This element is implemented by using the form opening and closing tag. This element should be inside the body element. Inside the body element, you have to use input element. What is this input element? Why it is required? And how to implement this? This question comes in your mind, right? The input specifies an input field where user can enter data. It is the most important form element. It enables you to insert fields in the form like text box, password field, checkbox, option button, and many more. It can be implemented by using the input opening and closing tag. It supports some attributes like type, which defines the type of the fields to be created like text box or password or button or something else. Next one is name attribute, which specifies the name of the field. And third one is value, which is used to specify the default value for a text field or password. In the next slide, we will see some values of type attribute. As it is said earlier that type attribute is used to specify the type of the field to be created. Now we will see some values of type attribute. First one is text. It is used to create a text field. In this text field, data can be entered within the same line. Multiple lines are not allowed with this value. What syntax we have to write for this? See it. First, start the input tag, then use type attribute and its value will be text. Then we want to specify a name for this field. So name attribute and give a value according to your choice. You can skip those commas and then close angular bracket. Then close input tag. If we run this command in browser, what will be the output? The output looks like this. Note that this input element should be within the form element and form should be within body element. This is for text field. But if you want to create a password field, then use value as password of type attribute. As we all know, password is hide from all, so it replaces the text with an asterisk sign. The HTML syntax to create a password field is type value is password rather than text. The output will be this. Here we already typed in the password field to show the password is hidden. Hope that till now it is clear to you. If not, then make it clear up to now. We will see some more values of type attribute in the next slide. Next one is value radio. This one for creating option button. Suppose in a form you have to choose the gender. You will choose either male or female. So you can choose any one out of them. What syntax we have to use? Type is radio. Name is gender. And value given as A. Another one is same as above except value which is here B. Here in the output two options male and female is there. If you choose male then female will not be selected and if you select female then male will not be selected. Here female is selected because in syntax for female we write checked after value B. So in the output by default female is checked. Next is checkbox. It is used to create checkbox in HTML form. Check out the syntax for creating checkbox. It's quite similar to radio button. Here type is checkbox and value given as A1 and for another one value is A2. Rest of the code is same as above. Now look at the output of the above code. Difference between radio and checkbox is in radio out of the options you can choose any one out of them, but in checkbox you can choose all the options. So here you can choose mobiles and fashions, both of them, or you can choose none of them. Next is submit button. For this you have to pass the value of type attribute as submit. That's all. Now see the result of the code. One thing to know, as it is told previously, that storing the data while pressing the submit button is not covered here, as this is only for designing the HTML with the form. Though we will show you action about rewriting to another page while pressing the submit button in the practical session of the form element. Let's come to our theory. The select element enables you to create a list in a form depending on the specified attribute. This element has to be used with the option element. The select element specifies that the text follows the list. The option element enables you to specify the items of the list created by using the select element. The functionality of select element is similar to unordered list and ordered list element that define a list. The option element is similar to list item element that specifies the list item in a list. Consider the following code. Here start the select tag followed by name attribute, Then option tag. Here we have two option tag. After the list is over, close the select tag. The code will display the following output. A drop-down list will appear. From here, you can select any one item. Now consider a situation where a customer wants to give descriptive feedback. The text area element enables you to create a field in which the user can enter large amount of text. This element is implemented by using the text area opening and closing tags. The text area element supports the following attributes. Rows. This attribute enables you to set number of rows of text will be visible without scrolling up and down in the field. Calls. This attribute enables you to set the number of columns of text that will be visible without scrolling left or right in the field. Name. This attribute enables you to specify name of the text area field. Consider the following code. Here we start text area and then name attribute. Give value of name attribute as per your choice. Then we set the row count to 5. That means only 5 rows can be visible without scrolling. Similarly, we set calls to 25. Then close the text area. Then close the text area tag. Now look at the output of this code. That's all about this lesson. If you like this video, then give a like and subscribe this channel and hit the bell icon. If you have any doubt, please comment and share this video with your friends. Let's come to our last HTML lesson, that is frame. In the previous lesson, we learned how to create a form and display it in a web browser window. We also learned to display data in a tabular format using table. In this lesson, we will learn to divide the browser window into sub-regions. We will also learn to display multiple web pages with the help of frame. There are few drawbacks with using frames, so it is never recommended to use frames in your web pages. Have a look at the drawback of frames. First one is, some smaller devices cannot cope with frames often because their screen is not big enough to divide it up. Sometimes your page will be displayed differently on different computers due to different screen resolution. Third one is, the browser back button might not work as user hopes. Another one is, there are still few browsers that do not support frame technology. Despite of this drawback, still we learn frame for our knowledge purpose. Frames in HTML are used to divide your web browser window into multiple sections, where each section can load a separate HTML document. A collection of frames in the browser window is known as frame set. The window is divided into frames in the similar way the tables are organized into rows and columns. To use frames on a web page, we use frame set opening and closing tag instead of body opening and closing tag. It defines how to divide the window into frames. It has a nested tag, frame or no frame, which can be included with frame set. Please note that HTML5 does not support frame tag, so do not use this element in HTML5. Now we will look at some of the attributes of frame set. First one is rows. It is used to divide the web page horizontally. The rows attribute takes a comma separated list of values. These values can be either pixel values, percentage values between 1 to 100, or relative scaling values. You can specify the value for the rows attribute like this. First one is a simple numeric value assumed to be fixed size in pixel. This attribute should be used carefully since the size of the viewer window can change substantially even with slight change in the value. If fixed values are used, they should be used in conjunction with one or more relative size values. Otherwise, the browser will override specified pixel value to ensure that the total proportion of the frame are 100% of the width and height of the user window. Next is a simple percentage value between 1 and 100. If the total is greater than 100, all the percentage are scaled down. If the total is less than 100 and relative size frames exist, extra spaces given to them. If there are no relative size frames, all percentages are scaled up and matched to 100%. Last one is value asterisk. The value on this field is optional. A single asterisk character is a relative size frame and is interpreted as a request to give the frame the remaining space. If there exist multiple relative size frames, the remaining space is divided evenly between them. If there is a value in front of the asterisk, that frame get that much more relative space. Look at the example below. Here rows equals to 2 asterisks comma asterisks. That means the skin frame will divide into 2:1 ratio. Our next attribute is calls. It is used to divide the web page vertically. Like rows, it also takes comma separated list of values. Syntax and values are same as rows except calls in the place of rows. Our next one is frame tag. It is used to display different HTML pages in different frames. As this is an empty element, it has no end tags. It supports the following attributes. First one is src. The src attribute takes its value the URL of the document to be displayed in the frame. Frames without src attribute are displayed as a blank space of the size of the frame. Next one is name attribute. It is used to assign a name to a frame so that it can be targeted by links in other documents. It becomes useful when you want to load a page to a specific frame. From where you call the page, use target attribute there and give the value same as the value of name attribute. The next one is scrolling. It describes if the frame should have a scroll bar or not. The value can be either yes, no or auto. That's all from this lesson. Now let's watch all the practical session in another video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this video, give a like and subscribe this channel and hit the bell icon. Also comment and share with your friends. See you guys in the next video. Thank you.